Hello, 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 wildly unapologetic women. I am so freaking excited for today. So if you're watching on the replay, do hashtag replay so I can say hi to you. Hello, wildly unapologetic women. And we are going to jump in and get started. So I want to talk to you about the mothering energy. So let me know, do you feel like you have a mothering energy in your current relationship? Or maybe a past relationship that you have if you're not in a current relationship. And I want to share with you what a really great definition of the mothering energy is. So you can really identify with yourself to see if this is where your relationship is. So, Barbara DeAngelis describes the mothering energy as a destructive habit that is controlling, treats men like children, assumes a man cannot take care of himself, and makes a woman act as if her man is incompetent and therefore needs to run his life. Now, while this is a harsh definition of it, and it's like, it's very like destructive habit and all of these things, the mothering energy is just this energy that we have in our relationship, right? Where we want to help our partner, we want to support them, we want to do things for them. And it could be a sign of our affection. But what can happen is it can really jeopardize the passion in our relationship. It can create distance instead of connection. It can create space and it can create frustration instead of intimacy. Right. And what happens is because as women, if we're doing this and we have some mothering energy in the relationship, our partner is not going to find that as sexy. They're not going to find that as passionate. They're not going to want to embrace us and see us as these beautiful, passionate beings that they want to be intimate with if they feel that heavy mothering energy. So some of the symptoms of the mothering energy is being overly helpful, right? If your man is going on a trip and you're doing everything for him, booking his flight, packing for him, doing his laundry, making food for him, doing the dishes, picking up after him, right? I saw a lot of this energy in my parents' relationship where my mom felt like not a wife, but just like a maid, a mother that was doing everything for him, right? If you feel like you assume that he can't do things on his own and you've just got to do it for him because he won't do it right, or maybe he'll forget. If you're making his appointments, if you're telling him to take his medicine, if you're correcting him all the time, like that's not how you do this, or that's not how you say this, right? If you feel like you always have to be the one in charge, it's that very mothering masculine energy that can suck out the passion and the connection, the sexiness and the mystery and the intimacy that we deeply desire. This can also happen after kids, right? Where we feel like, oh my gosh, I see all of the time, all of these memes about how the moms do it all and they're taking care of all of the things and the dads don't do anything, right? And they don't know how to do anything and they can't go on vacations, they can't go on girls' trips or out to dinners because the husband, the father would be lost without the mother because they don't know how to take care of their kids, right? The whole thing that people talk about all the time where the man doesn't know anything around the house, the woman does all the things. All of those things are stereotypes that I call bullshit on. In my first marriage, I will be the first one to admit that I had the same things happening. I had the same mothering energy. I was telling him what to do, helping him, supporting him with all of the different things going on. And it really impacted our relationship. I didn't find him attractive because it was like, oh my gosh, I feel like he's another child. And he didn't find any of that sexy. So that really impacted our relationship. The same thing started happening in marriage number 2, where it was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Well, he doesn't know how to be a stepfather. So let me do this, let me do that for him. Let me book his appointments. Oh, he forgot that he's got a heart appointment. And all of these things that I was doing was from a place of love. It was from a place of connection. It was from a place of desire. It was from a place of, oh my gosh, I really want to support him. And I want to make sure he's okay. This is a love language for me. But what I started realizing was it started impacting the connection. It started becoming like the nag. right? Have you ever felt like you were nagging your partner or someone was nagging you or your parents were nagging you? My kids sometimes tell me that, I nag them. Our partner does not want to feel that way about their significant other, right? But that can happen a lot if we get into that energy of, I've got to do it on my own. Okay, I've got to take care of all this stuff. He can't do it, so let me do it for him. Or you're always auto-correcting him, letting him know, oh, that's not the right thing, or that's not it, or, not letting him lead, right? And that creates a lot of distance. That creates like resentment and frustration instead of the connection that we really desire. And why this is a problem, the mothering energy sounds like, it's great, it's nurturing, right? And while the one side of it is nurturing, there's other ways we can make it happen without taking out the passion from the relationship and just kind of feeling like, strangers through the night, or like, oh my gosh, I've got a mom, and feeling like you've got an extra child because you've got to like be responsible for them. Nobody likes that. That is not a passionate space to be in. That is not sexy. And that's not going to get you all juicy and hot inside. Okay. So why this is a problem is it can really destroy the relationship. It can really impact the connection. It can impact the want and the desire to spend time together. It can really take away from the intimacy and the passion and the connection that you once had in the beginning of the relationship. So let me know if you're watching this live or on the replay. Have you felt this? Have you felt in the beginning of a relationship, either one you're in currently now or a past one? Have you felt like in the beginning, the relationship was so amazing? There was like butterflies and you're so excited to see each other. And it was amazing. And the sex and the connection was so powerful and you just couldn't get enough. And then as time went by, things started happening. As time went by, the connection, you started losing the passionate feelings, or maybe he started losing the passionate feelings, right? I'm here to say that you can get that back. I've been married in my second marriage for over 11 years. We're coming on to 12 years, and our intimacy, our connection and passion is better than ever because I've stopped mothering him. It started that way in the beginning. And as I started leading myself through this and understanding and really working on myself, instead of waiting for him to create the intimacy, waiting for him to create the connection, waiting for the passion to come from him, I started taking my power back and I started seeing the ways that I was trying to help him. I was disrespecting him as a man. Right? I wasn't honoring him. I wasn't seeing him. I wasn't, giving him that space to be able to make mistakes and learn and grow. And why we can be in this mothering energy, like where does this come from? And as I was doing research in my situation, because everything that I do, I'm my own guinea pig. I go through it first. I start understanding like what is going on and what's underneath all of this. And what I found is a lot of our behavioral patterns, our childhood conditioning can be responsible for this. We may have seen this in our parents that, in the Indian culture, it's like the woman serves the man. They deliver things to them on a tray. They kiss their ass. They take care of the kids. They do all of the things around the house, right? And the man is supposed to go and provide. Well, they have that dynamic. It takes away the pleasure and the passion, the intimacy. It's just like, okay, well, now I left my mom's house and now I've got a mom at home and she's just taking care of everything and it's not sexy. It's not hot. Also, we can subconsciously be doing this because we want to be indispensable to them, right? We want to be able to honor them and do all of these things and be able to show them that they need us, right? They can't live without us, so they can't leave us, right? So that could be a subconscious programming going on if we have unhealed things happening. This can also happen if we are like a boss bitch, right? And we're doing our things and we're the A-type personality like myself. Like I make things happen. I'm running a company. I have kids. I run a house. I do all of these things. So sometimes if we have that, boss bitch CEO vibe and that hat on, we can sometimes take that home and still run our lives like we're running our business, our careers, everything else. And that can, if we run our relationship like we're trying to run our business, it's going to completely fizzle out in the passion area. So here's how you can tell if this is happening in your relationship, right? So here are some indicators, some signs, some symptoms that you may be seeing now that can be contributing to this energy. So maybe like there's some resentment there. You see like frustration happening and kind of like tit for tat energy, right? And there's just kind of frustration and resistance. You know, he may feel withdrawn, or you both may feel withdrawn from each other. The level of passion has dwindled to it's like non-existent, right? Like it's just not really there. And if you do have sex and if you are intimate, it just feels like you're going through the motions. There's like, you know, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You may get pleasured, you may not, but it's just more of a routine instead of I deeply desire this person. I want to be with them and I want to connect with them. It's more of doing it as a routine, doing it to fill a need, right? Instead of deeply desiring it. And there could also be like that tit for tat energy going on, you know, oh, I did this, now you need to do that, you know, and when we're in these types of energies, it is not creating that place, that foundation of the intimacy, the passion, the connection that we all really want in our relationships. So what you can start doing now to start to change it is seeing your partner as a competent and capable person. There are some words that I cannot pronounce, and I still try to say it. So when you see them as competent, when you see them as able to do things, your perspective starts shifting. You start saying, okay, wait a second, they can do this. You know, let me lean back a little bit. Being able to let him do things on his own, even if you know a better way. Now, this is a really hard one for me because I'm a manifesting generator. I like making things easy and efficient. I like, you know, getting things done quick. And so when my husband, who's a generator and he's about processes and doing things on his, like in a systemic matter where I'm like, you know what? I know the shortcut. I don't say anything. I let him do it. I let him lead. I let him try it on his own. And then if he asks me for help, then I give him help. I'm not sitting there hovering over him and saying, no, do it this way, do it that way. What about this? What about that? I back off. And he's going to do it. He's going to handle it. If he has any questions, I trust him in doing it. And I trust him to ask for help when he needs it instead of trying to do it for him. And here's the thing, in a lot of households, you know, we've got 2 kids, we've got a dog, we've got a home, we've got a big property. We have a lot of household things going on. So if chores are an issue and you feel like you're doing all of the things and they're not contributing, I get you. I know that that can be frustrating. But now is a perfect opportunity to sit down with your partner, have a conversation with them, support them and ask, you know, how can we parcel out these household chores so then we both don't feel like one or the other has to do it. You know, it doesn't all fall on one person's lap, right? Simple communication around some of these issues can really help support creating that renewed intimacy, that renewed passion, that renewed connection. The deeper dive in this, right? So those are all small things that you can start doing, seeing him as a competent person, letting him do things on his own, waiting for him to ask for help, asking if the chores are an issue or something's an issue, having a conversation in a very win-win way where you're both on the same page. You can both communicate. You both feel safe to communicate what it is that you're wanting and coming to a beautiful conclusion with that. The deeper dive on this is really starting to unravel and heal the connected core wounds that happen when it comes to the mothering energy and as well as the passion and the pleasure. Healing any sexual trauma and wounds around your sexuality. And this is a big one. For me, in our relationship, you know, I really wanted to make sure, because my second husband, he's my soulmate, was so attracted to him. I was so into him, but we did have issues in the bedroom. And I would just do things and I would role play and I would like try to be that woman that he deeply desired, but I was not connected to my own passion and my own pleasure because of the sexual trauma I had, because of the wounds I had. And as a result, I realized that I was not connected in the bedroom. And so our intimacy could only go to a certain place. Our passion could only go to a certain place. But once I started going through and healing those core wounds that happened, healing the sexual trauma, as well as the other part of it is healing the shame that we have, uncovering the shame that we have, and conditioning around sex, pleasure, desires, right? That may have happened growing up. You know, for us, sex was taboo. I'm Indian, and in the Indian culture, we don't talk about sex. Sex is forbidden. You know, that isn't something that we talk about. You know, good girls don't do that. You know, you're not supposed to explore yourself. You're not supposed to do any of these things. So I had this whole bad girl concept that, like, you know what? I'm a bad girl if I want pleasure. I'm a bad girl if I touch myself. I'm a bad girl if I want to explore my sexuality. When we start healing some of these things, and this can come from our family, can come from our culture, it can come from our community, it can come from our religion, where it's just like, you know, don't have sex until you get married. Sex, I was told, was just to procreate, right? And so then when you have shame around it, and I started realizing that in the moment, I couldn't even receive everything he wanted to give to me. When he was going down on me and pleasuring me, I couldn't even receive it because I had so much shame in my head to be like, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be enjoying this. What would people think? What would my parents think? And the last thing you want in, like, as you're in the bedroom receiving pleasure and having sex, is thinking about your parents, right? And then another part of me would disconnect, because that's what I did in my sexual trauma, was disconnect so I could get out of the experience. So with all of these things happening, it can really create a black cloud over pleasure, passion, intimacy, right? And I could only fake it for so long. And after a while, then I just didn't want it anymore. It was just too hard. And it was just like, okay, you know what? Let me just do it. Let me fake an orgasm. Let me just get this over with and pleasure him so he's happy. But I was never satisfied, right? And it wasn't because of him. It was because of me, because I didn't know how to allow it. So when we start opening ourselves up to this, it's incredible. When the deeper dive is tapping into pleasure daily, right? Pleasure always felt like pleasure was unattainable for me. I was in the survival mode for most of my life. So pleasure was just something that, you know, like maybe on a vacation, I'll experience pleasure. Maybe some outcome will give me pleasure. But when we start bringing pleasure within ourselves and start creating pleasure pathways that we can experience pleasure daily on a regular basis throughout the day, it lights us up. It creates this beautiful vortex of this magnetism and this passion, and people and our partner especially can feel that, right? When we're giving ourselves that pleasure, it is incredible. And it is how we thrive. It's how we come alive. It's how we are able to, and I feel like it's how we're meant to be as women. We're meant to live in pleasure even when things are happening. I've had moments recently where I've had a lot of fears come up, a lot of shame come up around things in my life. And I was able to move through it with pleasure, even though it's painful. So when we're able to access our pleasure with ourselves throughout the day, we're in the vortex and the frequency of pleasure. Everything around us lights up, and our partners see us much differently. I'm living proof of that. And then expansion and explore your deepest desires with your sexuality, right? And this, again, if we have programming around it, if we're told that this isn't good, if we're told that, you know, I could only orgasm, I can only have pleasure with my partner. This was like a big thing for me. Like once I was able to get over the hump of experiencing pleasure and being able to allow myself to have orgasms, then it was like, okay, well, it's only through my partner. I can't do that. No, if I do it on my own, then a whole nother level of shame would come up to be like, oh my gosh, I'm touching myself. I'm using a toy. This is wrong. What will people think? And just, I couldn't get into it. But as I started really uncovering the pleasure queen within me, I was able to expand and explore my deepest desires. I was able to really see what I liked and understand my kinks and what turned me on. And as I was able to give that to myself, I was able to communicate that with my partner. And now it's incredible. Like my husband and I joke around to say, like, if we ever need money, we can film a porno and sell it for millions, because our sex scenes and the way that we move together and we communicate and we pleasure each other and ourselves, it just keeps on getting better. And we've been married for 11 years. We've been together for over 16 years. And I've known him for over 25 years. Right. And so many people say after a while, the pleasure, the passion, the connection, the intimacy goes away. Let me know if you felt that in your relationship, that it went away. It did go away in our relationship in the first few years of our marriage. But as I committed to it, and I'm like, I want this to be different. I don't want to be the facts and the statistics that over time, the pleasure goes away, the passion goes away. I wanted to defy the odds, and we have. So when you're able to do these things, you're able to step into a whole different vibration. You're able to step into a whole different, deeper relationship with your partner. And even if you don't have a partner, it's about doing this for yourself. Being able to understand and access pleasure within ourselves is such a powerful, powerful thing for us to do, because then we don't need anyone else. Right. And so there's times where my husband's busy, or he's doing something, or he's on a trip, or I'm on a trip, and I'm able to pleasure myself in the most incredible ways, and then bring that pleasure back to him and show him on how I want it. I'm able to watch porn now and not feel shame around it, and know the type of porn that I like, right? Without having this heaviness or this guilt or this shame around it. And when we're able to tap into that as a woman, we become magnetic. So that's it. That is with the mothering energy. We talked about what the mothering energy is. We talked about some symptoms, how you can kind of assess if you're in this situation in your current or past relationships. We talked about what can happen as a result if we're in that mothering relationship. We talked about what you can start doing now to change it. And then we talked about the deeper dive of what you can start doing on a continual basis to really continue this deeper connection with pleasure. So if you enjoyed this, if you're like, okay, you know what, I love this, I want to know more about this, I want to be able to journey and go deeper with this work, I would love to be able to share with you what your next steps can look like, so you can finally create that passionate, sensual, sexy, intimate relationship that you deeply desire, that can transcend the test of time. That can be better than the honeymoon period. That can be better than the initial time where you had the butterflies and the excitement and all of that stuff, and everything was fresh and new. You can recreate that. And you can have it be even better than that time. So if you're open to share, for me to share with you what you can do to take it to the next level, I would love to share that with you. If you feel complete and you're like, okay, this is awesome, I have my stuff, I'm ready to go, I want to start practicing this, I'm so glad that you're here, I honor you, and I'm so excited to see how this is coming up for you. I would love for everyone who's watching this to share with me one takeaway that you can take from this. One thing that you're like, you know what, I'm going to play with this, or this is a reminder for you. Would love to know that. And I would love to share with you a program that is starting soon and is called Pleasure Queen. It's so good. I am so excited about this program. It is brand new. And what we're doing in Pleasure Queen is it is 4 deep dive workshops. It's interactive, it's live. There will be lifetime access to the replays. And the way that we're doing this workshop is going to be incredible. It's going to be full of embodiment practices, shadow work, healing, future pacing, exploring your erotic desires, and being able to create your own unique pleasure pathway. Right? And being able to create your own custom pleasure pathway that you can tap into every single day. And being able to do this is life-changing. You're able to access the pleasure within yourself. You're able to tap into your desires. You're able to open up and be able to feel untamed and wild, and be able to explore your sexuality in ways that feel good and safe for you. And when you do the healing and the shadow work around it, and you really tap into different portals, which I'm going to guide you through, so it's not scary, It's in a safe container. We're going to be doing this work together, and it's going to be this interactive, incredible deep dive for workshops. And as we do this work, it's going to be incredible. You have lifetime access to it, so you can continue to go back. So as your pleasure pathways change, you'll be able to go back and do this work. If you feel like, oh my gosh, you know what, there's another trauma that came up that I didn't know what was going on, you can go back to the shadow work and the healing. So you can go back and do that deeper healing, because here's the thing, doing things one time is great, but it's about continuing to do it and continuing to find the shadows that are coming up and actively being able to heal it, actively being able to heal the trauma that comes up, and trauma will continue to come up, right? It's the thing. Trauma is something that, and triggers, we will always experience triggers, and the triggers can lead us to those traumas for us to heal, which is what we're going to be doing in Pleasure Queen in the safest, quickest way possible. So this is for you if you feel dead inside and you're questioning, is this it? When it comes to your relationship, right? This is for you if you're single and you're like, you know what? I want to be able to have that sexual, erotic, incredible, sensual relationship. And I want to have it on my own terms. And I want to, when I do meet that person, I want to be ready for them. If you want to just be on your own, this is perfect for you, because then you're creating your own pleasure pathways and you're releasing the shame and the guilt and the conditioning and the patterns that were surrounding you, so you can step into something new and create something new for your life. This is for you if you're triggered at looking at other people's relationship and wish that that was you. So if you want to know more about it, you can go ahead and comment below PQ, or you can go ahead and send me a DM. And I will share with you. Again, it's 4 workshops. It's going to be interactive. The workshops will be 90 minutes or less. It's going to be live, and there'll be access to the replay so you can go through it. It is the embodiment practices you can use for the rest of your life. This has been a 10-year making in the process for me. And I'm so excited to be able to share it with you. The regular price of this is $2,222. And right now it's on pre-sale for $777. And there are payment plans if you're interested. So if you want to know more, if you want to tap into the Pleasure Queen, if you want to be magnetic, if you are tired of hearing that as women grow older, you know, their age fades, if you're tired of hearing about or experiencing relationships where the passion fades and now it just kind of feels like tit for tat and you feel like roommates instead of lovers, this is for you. And I would love to have you join us and have you untap and really be able to uncover what that is for you. While we go through the guided workshops, it's going to elicit things from you. What is coming up for you when it's coming to the shadow work, when it's coming to the healing, when it's coming to your desires. And I'm going to share with you tools and videos and different things that I use to be able to experience that pleasure on my own and with my partner. So the mothering energy is something that in the intention is great. It's great to have to care for our partner, but having that mothering energy can really disconnect us from our passion, from our desires. So use those simple tips that I shared with you. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is. And if you want to go and journey deep into Pleasure Queen, I got you. Send me a DM and we can see if this is the next right step for you. I will see you soon. And also, I want to share that I'm going to be doing a weekly series on Get What You Want, a relationship series. So I'm going to be coming in every Wednesday at 2 p.m., sharing in a mini training, 30 minutes or less, tips, tricks, and strategies to be able to get what you want in your relationship. I love you so much. I will see you soon. Bye.